Hello, everyone. Welcome to Echo. How are you today? I hope you're doing well. Um, Honestly, it is. Have you had one of those moments where I'm pretty sure you did, you all have, where it's like, I don't even know how to handle things anymore, right? So many juggling, so many things at once. Um, Mental health and physical health and so many other little things like such. And so it has become this. How do you find your center, if that makes any sense? Kind of like when you're just off center. It's so hard for me to come up with a way to actually explain it properly, but kind of like your brain doesn't rest. That's one of my things. My brain can take a break. Um, Somehow I seem to just can't take a break, can't rest. If I sit down and watch TV or movies or something like that, it is very difficult that I don't think of something else that I should be doing instead, could be doing, and so on. Just to give you an idea, this is one of the projects I got going on, trying to convert this area and build a little wall and some stuff there so that we can focus on 3D printing and so on. But that's one of the examples. It's like this is one of the things that allows my brain to slow down. If I can focus on doing some of the construction around the house that I always like to do, then it's easier for me to be able to do so. But how do you stop your brain? So finally, I got a diagnosis for ADHD at 43, um, where now I'll be able to go see my doctor tomorrow. Sorry, I gotta. This is some of the part that I'm working on. My basement used to be very narrow and all that kind of stuff. It is, so trying to just make the best out of a tight situation. Um, but so I'm hoping because I had tried some medication like antidepressants or anxiety and such, and just didn't seem to fully work. It felt like numbing, if that makes sense. You don't feel sad, you don't feel excited, you just throughout. So I tried different medications, stomach issues, all kinds of stuff. But all right, I'm gonna put it to you this way. Have you ever felt that you have to go searching for joy? Not somebody named Joy, but for actual joy in life. Like things can always be worse. Bad situation happen. Life is there to kick you in the balls and shove your face in the mud. It's up to us to make the best out of it. But I honestly don't have reason to not have joy in my life. Life is difficult for everybody, and many other people have it so much worse than me. Even though I have the same issues as everybody day people, living paycheck to paycheck, blah, blah, blah. But I got so much to be happy for, right? Like amazing freaking kids, smart, nice, cordial, and just good manners, loving. I have an amazing wife. We have our own small businesses. That doesn't make us rich, but we work for ourselves. We love providing great quality, blah, blah, blah. We live in a normal house, but it's our house. And so I get to do all my projects and construction and little things thanks to working in, you know, construction in my previous life and not having the money to do it. But it's still, I got like 7 different projects going on in the house, and I realize those are the moments that I don't think of anything else. Right now, I'm also thinking about work, and I'm also thinking about how to grow the podcast, how to grow my actual business for interpreting, how to, deal with family issues and all that kind of stuff. And your brain just doesn't stop. So you listen to podcasts and you listen to stuff when music, whatnot, when you're going to bed. And it's kind of like to distract your brain and have it focus on one thing instead of letting it just wander. Because if I listen to podcasts while I'm falling asleep, it can be anywhere between 20 to 40 minutes for me to fall asleep. If I don't, it can be an hour with no problem. My mind just keeps going and going and going and going. So I went to get my ADHD thing, and when they were checking, doing the analysis or whatever, they said it might take 1 to 2 appointments. By the time we were halfway done the first one, she said, "Oh yeah, you definitely have it." So I'm hoping that that's the baseline. Find what my actual baseline is for not be so emotional, not be so, and on both aspects. Get cranky too quickly, get sentimental too quickly. And so, and don't get me wrong, I got no problem with crying. Um, I actually believe that men who cry are a lot healthier than those who don't. But there's also like having valid reasons to do so. Sometimes those movies can do it. But, certain movies and stuff, or shows or videos or whatnot. But there's a reason behind it. Shouldn't just be emotional or not feeling anything. So I'm pretty excited about that step because, sorry, that should be able to help me slow down my mind. That would be amazing if I could just pull like a breeze, like, from Malcolm in the Middle, where there's an episode he's just there. He's like, "What are you thinking?" Nothing. And it's literally absolutely nothing. Oh my God, I envy that. So, meditation. Oh, that would be amazing to be able to do something like that. So, let's see. Hopefully, this is a first step towards becoming more center and in that journey of finding joy. Be present, Like I doom scrolling, that's another one. I lose myself into doom scrolling because it's that rapid succession of things that it keeps me from actually having my mind wander somewhere else. Um, so how do you guys do that? How do you, if any of you have been able to manage that? Because I don't know, I just can't stay still, and I feel blah. When your feelings are just blah, and that shouldn't be. I got too much to actually be super excited about. Particularly that we're going to be having a 20-year anniversary. Trying to figure out what kind of surprise to get Jennifer for that. I'm not really sure. I mean, I'm pretty sure that I say it here and I'll be safe because she doesn't listen to this. But that 1/10, that 0.001%, she actually listens to it. She's been wanting to skydive. And my proposal, if you call that, was the Niagara Falls. And we are 1 hour away from Niagara Falls, so maybe something like that. So let's see. It's like one thing that I'm trying, and I have tried it by deleting one Facebook account, my original one, which was like 20 years old. And I had opened another one to kind of like reset all the political stuff and whatnot out of it, flush it out. Plus, Facebook is going so dark that I didn't want to keep 20 years of history there. But I don't know if you guys have that feeling when you're sounding the bells and the alarms on something for so long. Like, I know that right now everything is being extremely politics focused because I believe it calls for it. Life calls for it. We can't see a house burn down and say, hey, it's all good. Somebody else will take care of it. You have to raise alarm. You have to have urgency. And if you see that there's a cable that is, that could spark, not even sparking, that could spark, take care of it, jump at it, go do something, change the wire, whatever the case, tape over. And that's what I feel I've been doing with Trump. Ever since he announced that he was running for presidency back with the whole border thing with Obama, then you can go back to my original, well, not on that one because, again, that one was deleted. But my other Facebook has been on for several years also, and you can find them. For over a decade, I've been sounding the alarm about this guy. Over a decade since I posted a picture when Chavez was still alive, that he literally showed Chavez Chavez wasn't alive. He had just recently passed. And it's a picture side by side, like half-face Trump, half-face Chavez, because they're the same shit. But nobody wants to see it. Finally, they're seeing it. And I was actually wrong. Chavez wasn't as depraved. Even Maduro, which is a fucking psycho, are not as depraved as Trump. And we don't need to see the full concentration camps built out and been filled up for us to be able to see it. So, you don't buy warehouses to house migrants that you go into the port, and you don't change the way of the label and fabric of domestic terrorists to include LGBT, anti patriotic American things, and anti-government and anti this to the poor people. You do that to whole citizens detained in concentration camps. That's why they don't want to talk about habeas corpus. And, just everything to them is a tool to suppress us. So they're just getting started. This is a year in their thing. He already knows, he already did the rehearsal, the dress rehearsal with the first term. And now, well, we see it. So now that everybody else is seeing everything, we're talking everything. Now we haven't even scratched the surface of the Epstein files. And now we're seeing, literally everything, the far crazy conspiracy theory stuff the right had been saying for 20 years. Well, my apologies. I was wrong. You guys were right. I eat my freaking words because you freaking were right. They are having cabals of the world leaders and most powerful and rich who are actually eating and dismembering and torturing and doing all kinds of unthinkable things to children and anyone under the age of 18 who doesn't have a voice for themselves. We see right now how the same kind of crowd that supports those people, are the ones going and getting out of their way, going out of their way to confront students expressing their words because you don't have the right to express yourself because you're too young. So now that it's gone over, that everything is blowing up, and that the shit people are finally realizing the kind of dictatorship that has been wanted to be implemented by the GOP since forever. And there's no more masking it. There's no more any of that because at this point, if you are a Republican or a Democrat, doesn't matter. If what matters is whether you're standing against what's happening or not. And many of the Republicans are not standing to what's happening, so obviously they are for it. Otherwise, they would be standing against it. See? So, and even many Democrats as well. But I feel like maybe I can now move on from the subject a little bit. Not completely, because obviously there's still a lot of madness that is going to be coming out. And the fact that we, as the world leader of what should be rule of law, are the only ones really not following any rules and breaking all the laws. So for having other countries showing us how it gets done and for them to start unmasking everything that we're trying to mask over here, it gives me hopes. It gives me hope because think about this. At least this is the metaphor I use. The US, ever since World War II, has been, and from way before that, but the US has always been seen as this place where you can go and look for refuge against the bad actors of the world. Doesn't matter what part of the world you're coming from, you come in here and we are the biggest and baddest on the block, and nobody's gonna fuck with you because we're protecting you. And we're not the biggest and baddest in the block where we just go and bully people around all the fucking time because they did. But at the same time, we are at least trying to learn from our mistakes to become what we pipe ourselves to be. We're not there yet, even though we say we are, but we are working towards that. That wasn't the case for a while. So now we seem to be going back into that area. So I don't know. I mean, it is nice to see the. It's scary because if you take Superman as the analogy, and everybody goes to Superman goes and says, you know what, whoever comes to the fortress of solitude, you're taken care of. Where I'm gonna protect you, you're gonna, have all your rights and all your shit. And I'll continue to fight the Lex Luthors of the world for you. And one day, Superman gets a new girlfriend, somebody comes in new, or he just simply decides to say, you know what, I've been talking to Lex, and that guy makes sense, Like he has some things that he's truly making some sense there. So we're gonna have to start implementing those. I, don't talk shit about him. He's a pretty cool guy. Who do you go to when Superman decides to join forces with Lex Luthor? Where do you hide? Where is the trajectory going for the world when the one who can actually stand for those who can stand for themselves decides to say, fuck it, I don't care anymore? That's been my big heartbreak with the US because it is extremely heartbreaking to see the same thing happen again as in Venezuela, in a country that you thought that it was developed past that point. But on the other hand, because there has been a lot of snakes coming out of the ground, well, it's also a good thing because now we have a clear image of who's who. You see, there's no more faking it by Marco Rubio and Lindsey Graham and Mitch McConnell and whoever else is in Fetterman. There's no more hiding it. All their roles, all their faces, all their masks are out. We know who they are. We know who's the neighbor who's a racist. We know who's the brother, sister, aunt, mom, uncle, whatever it is that we used to think, no, because deep down they can't be like that. Now we know. Now we know that those aren't people we want to be around. If I wouldn't, there is no fucking way that I will leave my family with somebody like that. So why would I want you around my house? I don't want to do business with you either. Because I don't deal with criminals. I don't deal with corrupt people, with thieves, with any of those unless I'm interpreting for them. That's it. That's the only way. Unless I'm working for you, interpreting for you, I don't want to know shit from you. And you gotta be the accused, not the one giving me the job. So, and I get it. Everybody deserves fair representation and all that kind of crap. But these people, they need a court martial. That's what they need. Literally the cabinet of felons. And that should be a limitation. If you have a felony, can't work in the government, because that applies to all of us. If you have a felony for robbery or for embezzlement, you're not going to be getting any damn jobs at a bank or any other place that deals with money unless you're picking up the trash. Get my point? So, because of everything going on and how everybody seems to be waking up and how the world seems to be waking up, I feel like I can shut the hell up now. Maybe I can actually start focusing a little bit more of the things that I like, kayaking, fishing, you know. But to make that brain switch, to get your brain to stop, go back to the diagnosis with ADHD and see what's all that. So it is good though, because I was in that road for like 2 years to trying to just get that stupid diagnosis. So we finally got it. Now, one thing that does worry me is that if it makes my brain works in a more inline way, like in a more streamlined manner, would that affect my interpreting? The doctor said that, or I talked to other interpreters who have said that they've taken the medicine and has not affected them like such. But I'm nervous because I can just let my mind go, interpret, and then do something else. I might be playing a game on my phone. I might be replying to an email. I might be doing something like such. So, and when I say just pick up anything and everything and do it, I mean literally, because that's going to be a whole episode of what interpreters shouldn't do and how many that would become like the most hated interpreter at that point in the community for what I will have to say. But an interpreter should be able to take any subject, any moment, at any time, and just go with it. Oh, but not if you're in the medical field or in the legal field or whatever the case. BS. I call that BS. Simple. Because your life is everybody's life, comes into the hospital, comes into the court, comes everywhere. So, I'll give you an example. Tower 4 by Seven Lamp Productions. Let's see. Cuando Morrison decía de que venía con Campbell, y claro, Campbell estaba pasándosela en más points. Y en aquel momento yo aseguro, ¿y para qué? No estoy seguro. And that's a very slow paced talk. But you need to be able to pick up anything and everything. Many interpreters don't do that. On the other hand, depending on your ability and your brain can just pick up the words and just go while you're doing something else. Some interpreters can express the words and spit them out faster than other ones, but you need to be able to process it. What if taking the medicine fucks that up for me? And I become this slow speaking interpreter, and I really gotta focus on what it means. That would be so detrimental. Really, really bad. So I'm hoping that that's not the case, because then I'm back to square one. Because I don't do anything with that diagnosis of ADHD if I can't take the medication, because it throws me off of my interpreting game. And that's my bread and butter, basically. So, oh my goodness. On the other hand, I was able to make enough space in the basement to make a little room, or make a room for my son, so that we can go back upstairs, so that we can have the other room out, blah, blah, blah. But there was this area where the pipes and the sewage and the one that goes into the septic and all of that stuff was there. And you could barely get anything in it. So let me go back to the basement, because I want to show you that. Like, I literally posted pictures the other day of how I was just, there was still a wall here. So all of this. That, I don't know what happened with my computer suddenly went ahead and froze. So I'm trying to, why isn't it my camera? That's weird. All right, so somehow my camera decided to stop working. And I can't show you what I was going to. But see, my excitement is because this basement literally used to be like, because it's about 90 years old. No, 1932, and we're at 26, so 96 years old, 94 years old, where it's low. There were no AC ducts or anything back then, so it's kind of tight, and it was just used for like laundry and just crap. And literally right now, he has a little green room that you saw there for some of the like vegetables and stuff like that I want to start growing. Move the bed and dryer washer in the back. I have a little room on this side, another office that I'm building, and then the other room that I'm building. That's just in the basement. I still gotta go in the trail and cut down like 5 logs, about 30 feet long, so that they can go ahead and I can use them to build a carport. There we go. The image is back. So that way, if you look over here, that's a little bit window if you can, which I don't think, yeah. If you look up there, no, can't show you. But I am tired of shoveling snow out of the cars and taking it off and all that crap. So I took the pine trees that divided our house with a neighbor's house, cut them about 10 feet high, and then stripped the whole thing just enough to leave some some of the branches in the bottom, but for some cover. But then the pine trees themselves are the trunks. So I went ahead and I put a few of the studs on the other side post where I did dig up the concrete and the whole thing. And now I'm going to do a cover on that side. It was supposed to be ready this year, but I literally, one of the logs that I moved, I forgot to put like I don't know, like a rag or something in my shoulder, and it pinched a muscle or something, and holy cow, it has been bad. So I am hoping, because this was November 2024. So I'm hoping that now would be able to be much better. And my neighbor did say that he will help me be able to get it set up. That would be great, because last year I did it by myself. And it's not fun to carry a 30-foot long, about 16-inch, no, sorry, 12 inches in width, like the width of it, about 12 inches, and then carry that out from the trail and then put it up there by myself. Not only that, but then, and I doubt you'll be able to see it, but back then, that you might be able to see like a little playground area. Um, that one I built it for my daughter. So literally took Jason's whole playground and took the walls, took the ceiling, and the roof and stuff like that. But I took a lot of the panels and I made it into a bridge and literally all rustic. That's from the same trees that I cut over here to make the space for the for the cover. I took all those branches and all those logs and all that shit, and I then opened it up, put it on this side, and now I'm also doing the pool deck with all of that. I did the deck itself, all that railing and stuff like that, and sun cover, all with just rustic log, just rough logs from outside. I'm lucky my neighbor has a wood lot that he lets me pick and choose, so I don't have to spend on that. And if everything goes well, I'm going to be learning how to mill some of the wood this year, whether by chainsaw or with my neighbor with his sawmill. But just look at this over here, right? Look at this crappy ass counter. So with this crappy counter, sorry about all the mess, I'm going to remove all of that. I'm going to take that kitchen stove and I'm going to put it over here where the window is. So all the frying stuff like that. We're gonna put a fan obviously in the top, but this is gonna be a huge counter, and it's gonna be of walnut, black walnut. So I gotta cut a good 3 feet long piece of thick of walnut from back in the trail. There's a couple of fallen down trees. They came down a few last year. Ooh, that's gonna be perfection if I get to do it right. That's the other part. Not the like it's. I didn't know the chainsaw was so stupidly difficult because it is and it isn't. Let me get this straight. As long as you can keep it straight and back and forth and let it eat on its own without pushing it too much. But then it's when it starts. You got not enough support on one side, you're cutting in the top, you didn't know or forgot to cut the bottom so that it can open up a little bit because you just cut the top and then the bottom so it can drop. Or vice versa, you make the niche and then, oh, you know how many times I got that stupid chainsaw stuck in the tree, trying to pull it back out and all that crap. Now, after like a while, I gotta buy a new, I think I bent I forget what it's called, that thing that holds the chain. I think it's a little bent. So now it cuts better on the way up than on the way down. And I know some people are going to say that it's because I have the chain backwards, but it's not. So I don't know. I filed it, which would help a lot. But another stupid tree fell out during the winter storm. And I am not looking forward to cutting more trees. I haven't even gone in the back trail for like a month just so that I don't do that. Because I don't want to have to deal with so many of them. Anyway, thank you for listening. If you're still here, did you guys know that I am trying to set up a, not trying, this is already set, where I want to be able to give other people the chance to express themselves, to talk about their passions and all that stuff. You want to have a podcast, YouTube channel, stuff like that? Let me know. I don't charge for it. And then basically I'll give you the tools that I have. Access to StreamYard, Spreaker, and so on and so forth. We're already paying for it. I would like to be able to provide, there's a lot of noise out there, and if I can give the tools for people to be able to provide, even if it is static, to combat the hate that is being spewed all over the place by the dying snake of hate, then I would like to do so. Whether you like to talk about whatever your personal passions are, kayaking, fishing, woodworking, reading. If you love to read, I would love to be able to. If you like to write, maybe we can team up with somebody who likes to read, create a show, stuff like that. I would love to be able to read some of the stories and whatnot, but I'm not the best at it. So, yeah, I would say if there's whatever floats your boat, and as long as it's something that you think can be positive for the rest of the world, entertaining, informative, non-hateful, then please let me know. It doesn't matter what it is. And if for some reason you have a job, a career, or something, family members, whatever the case, and it's like, what I want to talk about, it is nothing that I want anybody else to know about, or they cannot know about, then don't worry about it. We'll go ahead and we'll make it so that your identity stays secret. Like there is somebody that may be coming up with an erotic podcast through us, but he doesn't want to be known who they are or anything like that. So we're going to be filtering any emails to come to us. We'll pass them on to that person, and so on and so forth. That way they can keep their privacy. So if that's you, let me know. I would love to be able to help out. Anyway, thank you so much for listening to today. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you for being there. This conversation actually helped clear my mind a little bit. And well, do well and don't care for who you do it for. Thank you for listening to today's episode. Don't forget to follow this podcast so that you don't miss any new episodes. You can also search for PKDK on your favorite podcast player for all the other shows that we have.